Good afternoon. Welcome back. You're listening to Yucatl Audio, where the vibrations are good throughout the whole stage. Now, in this one here, we're gonna turn back the clock a decade. I think this one goes back to 2009, and we're gonna get a little sampling of how the media directs the narrative, and how, hey, his story is subject to change, just like the Mandela, at a whim. Whenever, hey, just at any time, there you go. Just serve you up something different, and go. I mean, they're going to assume that consensus reality, the consensus trance will take care of it. Yeah, once you get, so many, everybody else believes it. That forces the skeptics to fall in line. So let's check this right here out, and see if you can remember some of these media manipulated stories. Let's go.
Some people say. Some people say. Some people say. Some people say.
Some people say.
Well, some people say. Some people say.
Some say it.
Some people say.
Some are saying. Some people say.
There's some people who say something, if not major, has already happened.
Those are his words.
Some people say it's exploitive. What do you say to that?
Armed with knives, armed with chemical, biological, nuclear weapons. Fanatic, terrorist, September 11th, terror, evil, September 11th, terrorism, and danger. Terrorism, global terrorism, terrorism, terrorist, terrorism. September the 11th, terror. Weapons of mass destruction. September the 11th, terrorists, the evil terrorists.
It's the third time I've said that. I'll probably say it 3 more times. See, in my line of work, you got to keep repeating things over and over and over again for the truth to sink in, to kind of catapult the propaganda.
There is no doubt that Saddam Hussein now has weapons of mass destruction. Weapons of mass destruction.
Botulinum, VX, sarin, nerve agent.
Iraq and Al-Qaeda.
Iraq and Al-Qaeda.
Terrorism, cyber attacks,
Nuclear program. Biological weapons.
cruise missiles, ballistic missiles.
Chemical and biological weapons.
Iraq has weapons of mass destruction.
President Bush has said Iraq has weapons of mass destruction. Tony Blair has said Iraq has weapons of mass destruction. Donald Rumsfeld has said Iraq has weapons of mass destruction. Richard Butler has said they do. The United Nations has said they do. The experts have said they do. Iraq says they don't. You can choose who you want to believe.
The White House says it can prove that Saddam Hussein does have weapons of mass destruction, claiming it has solid evidence.
The White House insisted again today it does have solid evidence.
They might fight dirty, using weapons of mass destruction, chemical, biological, or radioactive.
There are ties between Saddam Hussein and Al-Qaeda.
Anthrax, smallpox.
Dirty bomb.
Iraq Al-Qaeda connection.
Saddam Hussein and Al-Qaeda share the same goal. They want to see, both of them want to see Americans dead.
And by the way, we ought to kill those Arabs up there anyhow, otherwise we're going to have to fight them again.
We need to invade their countries, kill their leaders, and convert them to Christianity.
You don't fight them going after the needle, the individual terrorist in the haystack. You go after the haystack. If you want to fight malaria, you don't go just after the mosquitoes. You have to dry the swamp.
I think the key thing for us to look at here is the philosophy of draining the swamp rather than wading in and trying to kill a snake one at a time.
The Arabs who understandably had counterattacked out of their rat's nest. And what it comes to is an escalation of the battle to take the rat's nest.
We have to get down in the sewer to kill the rat.
Yeah, we do.
These dogs, these pigs, I call them an animal.
These are punks. These are barbaric, blood-sucking punks.
There are lots of people who feel, in fact, that Sharon should go forward and just win this thing. Yeah. And if that's the case, then I think we're going to come onto the edge of something that people are very uncomfortable with, which would be, doing away, ethnic cleansing type of argument.
I'm content to have Israel grab the entire West Bank. I'm also content to have the Palestinians have a homeland, and even for that to be somewhere near Israel, but I'm not content to see Israel give up land.
They don't know another language. They're not human like us.
We ought to kill those
dogs, these pigs.
Rattlesnakes. Barbaric, blood-sucking
mosquitoes and snakes and scorpions.
Avid murdering Nazis. And convert them to Christianity.
Go after the haystack.
Take the rat's nest.
Dry the swamp.
Kill the rat.
Cut the head of all those rats.
Take out their whole family.
Islam is determined. Long-term enemy.
Our enemies, religion.
The evil ones sparked an interesting change in America, I think.
But here you have the Johnny Appleseed of terrorism wandering the country with his little sack of anthrax.
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 Anthrax. Anthrax.
Anthrax.
Anthrax.
Anthrax.
Anthrax.
Anthrax.
Anthrax.
Anthrax.
Anthrax.
Anthrax.
Anthrax.
Anthrax.
Anthrax.
Anthrax.
Anthrax.
Anthrax.
Anthrax.
Anthrax.
Anthrax.
Anthrax.
Anthrax.
Anthrax.
Anthrax.
Anthrax.
Anthrax.
Anthrax.
Anthrax.
Anthrax.
Anthrax.
Anthrax.
Anthrax.
Anthrax. Anthrax.
Deadly anthrax.
Kill any anthrax.
Anthrax fighting drug antibiotics.
Antibiotics.
Antibiotics. Antibiotics.
Anthrax vaccine.
Smallpox vaccine.
That's right. He said smallpox. Smallpox vaccine. That's right. right. He said smallpox. Back to anthrax. Cure for anthrax.
Die from anthrax.
Cure for anthrax.
Die from anthrax.
Swine outbreak. Outbreak notices. Outbreak of flu dust.
Outbreak. Outbreak. Outbreak.
Outbreak.
Outbreak. Outbreak. Outbreak.
Outbreak. Outbreak. Outbreak. Outbreak. Outbreak. Global epidemic. Epidemic.
Pandemic.
Pandemic.
Pandemic. Pandemic. Pandemic alert.
Pandemic.
Pandemic.
Influenza pandemic.
Pandemic. Pandemic.
Pandemic. A global epidemic.
Pandemic. Pandemic. Pandemic.
Pandemic. Pandemic. A pandemic alert.
Quarantine. The quarantine.
Quarantine.
Kids, what's going on?
And he just got back from a long vacation.
Oh, really, Bird? Where did you go?
I was visiting my relatives in Southeast Asia.
Whoa, wait a minute, Bird. You might have the bird flu.
Bird flu? What's that?
Seems to have components of the North American swine virus, the avian
influenza,
the bird flu. We've talked a lot about this.
Swine flu outbreak.
Swine flu.
Swine flu. Swine flu. Swine flu.
Swine flu.
Swine flu. Swine flu.
Swine flu.
Swine flu. Swine flu.
This strain of swine influenza that's been cultured in the lab.
Swine flu.
Swine flu.
In a lab, yeah.
Swine flu.
Swine influenza.
Swine flu.
Because it's impossible that you can't.
Swine flu. Swine flu virus.
It's got to be the culture. That's the only way you can do it. That's the only way that shit
Swine flu.
can jump species like that.
Swine flu.
Swine flu.
Swine flu scare.
Swine flu. Swine flu. Swine flu. The deadly swine flu. Swine flu.
This is called a swine flu, but there's genetic evidence also of human and bird components.
A composite virus with genetic fragments from the North American swine, the Eurasian swine, North American birds, and humans. Health officials are stumped, worried, and perplexed.
I gotta say, I'm stumped. I am really stumped. I just am so stumped. I'm stumped and I'm stunned.
You said you were stumped.
I'm still stumped.
Well, I hate to sound like everyone else sounds. I want to hear it.
I'm puzzled.
But I was surprised, puzzled, all the words you've been hearing.
That's what leaves me really just kind of heartbroken. Oh, Robin, it's so horribly unfair. I feel like crying. This is heartbreaking to myself to be puzzling. I think there's a lot
That's
of...
the White House talking point, Ari.
Why is Bayer Corporation the rat of the week?
Internal documents show that after this company positively, absolutely knew that they had a medication that was infected with the AIDS virus, they took the product off the market in the U.S. and then they dumped it in France, Europe, Asia, and Latin America. The medicine's called Vactorate. It was an injection medicine that was used for hemophiliacs, mostly children. Children had been born with an injury.
Hold on, Mike. Hold on. So you're telling me that Bayer knew that this drug was infected with the AIDS virus, they yanked it from the market in America, and then they dumped it in markets overseas?
They had to figure out a way, Joe, to make a profit on a product that they could not sell in America. So they made a huge profit.
What made America special? Like,
Each year in the U.S., thousands
they
of women learn to have
don't kill
cervical cancer.
Americans?
I could be one less.
What?
One less statistic. One less. Because now there's Gardasil. One less. One less. Gardasil. 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 Gardasil.
With Gardasil, you could be one less.
Collapsed after being given the cervical cancer vaccine Gardasil. Health authorities are urging parents to stay calm, insisting the drug, which is being offered to students in WA, is safe.
Coming up in 7 News, a warning to diabetics about the deadly side effects of a popular medication.
I don't need another flu shot. I had a flu shot last year. A swine flu epidemic may be coming.
Swine flu shot? Well, I don't know. I've been thinking about it.
It could make you very sick.
Swine flu? Man, I'm too fast for this to catch me.
You'll want to be protected.
I'm the healthiest 55-year-old you ever seen. Hey, I play golf every weekend.
Get a shot of protection. The swine flu shot.
Well, are you sitting down? Baxter International, an Illinois-based pharmaceutical company, was caught shipping live avian flu viruses mixed with vaccines to 18 countries last week. Of course, health officials are asking how this could be, as it can't happen by accident. Why? Because Baxter International adheres to Biosafety Level 3. That's a set of safety protocols that prevent the cross-contamination of materials, which means it was done purposely.
So what was Baxter doing mixing live avian flu viruses, both H5N1 and H3N2, which is the human form, with standard flu vaccine material? And who authorized it? The tainted vaccines were received by labs in a number of Eastern European countries, and some are wondering whether the contamination was part of a deliberate attempt to start a pandemic. The avian flu virus on its own has killed hundreds of people, but when combined with ordinary flu viruses, which are easily spread, the effect is a potent, super airborne, super deadly biological weapon with a 60% plus kill rate.
And check this out. On the same day the story broke, officials at the National Emergency Management Summit released a statement saying it was no longer an if issue, but when there would be an avian flu pandemic. One could only wonder if they knew what was going on at Baxter. And in a chilling hint of what's planned to deal with a pandemic, whether it's natural or man-made, health officials say it's important for all citizens to be prepared for the possibility of being quarantined for months at a time.
We found dozens of baby shampoos, bubble baths, and other children's body care products to be contaminated with formaldehyde and 1,4-dioxane. I think parents will really be surprised to look at the products we tested and to find out that these products that are advertised as pure and gentle actually contain hidden carcinogens that aren't listed on the labels.
Well, the British government has, almost 50 years or so after the fact, they declassified documentation from the Ministry of Defence, and they've admitted to spraying Norwich in England with vast quantities of cadmium spray from aerial spraying and from shipping at sea, and let the wind blow it in, and then they monitored the health of the people down through the years to see what happened to them. And I never told them, of course. They knew what was happening to them. And of course the doctors would know too that something really was going on, because it had the highest incidence of esophageal cancers and various lung cancers in the country, basically.
Well, they couldn't blame Al-Qaeda then, could they?
No, you see, I've always said you don't need to worry about an enemy anywhere else when your own government has this on you.
In 1951, the Army sprayed the bacteria Serratia marcescens over San Francisco. 11 hospital patients developed a mysterious infection, and within days, Edward Nevin died from an illness caused by the same bacteria. In 1953, CIA employee Frank Olson leaped through his bedroom window on the 10th floor of this New York hotel. 9 days earlier, a fellow CIA scientist had secretly spiked his drink with LSD. Another cover-up concerned the death of a civilian.
All right, y'all. That pretty much touched on what I was wanting to see. Nothing new under the sun. It's fear porn. They constantly beating on that drum, trying to get you to be scared of something. Get you to pay attention to this story, that story. Shit's contrived, man. It's orchestrated, controlled, and set up. It's acting. And yeah, this ain't, I mean, they've been doing it for a long time, dude. We just gotta remember, dude, that they play these games, and it's time to call some motherfuckers to the floor. Somebody gotta stand account. If they, somebody's got to stand behind and take the liability for any harm that they're gonna do to you. You got to force somebody to take the responsibility for that shit. Because ultimately, you cannot let them pass the buck off to a figment of your damn imagination. You hold some man, some flesh and blood man, woman, responsible for the harm that they try to do to you. If they try to do anything to you, you make damn sure that individual has to stand account for whatever decision they decide, what course of action they decide to take. Until next time, keep your heads up.